Week 18 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few hitters I looked at on the waiver wire this week. The first guy's Brandon Belt of the San Francisco Giants. So Belt, he just came off the injured list a few days ago, and he's not missed a beat, it seems like, on the season. 15 home runs, 35 RBIs, 35 runs scored at 262 average, and a 370 on base. But the last couple weeks since he returned, 4 home runs, 7 RBIs, 5 runs scored at 385 average, and a 467 on base. So right here, Brandon Belt, he returned August 5th at the Arizona Diamondbacks. And this guy, he's been tearing the cover off the baseball and playing real good baseball for this San Francisco Giant team. And this Giant team, no matter which moves or whatever they do this season, it's just all working out. And they've been a huge surprise. They're the first team to 70 wins this year already. And right now, they're trying to run away with that tough NL West, but with a lot of good teams, obviously, in it. And if they could get some power numbers and hitting like they have from Brandon Belt, they're going to win this division. So the first 4 games back from injury: August 5th at Arizona, 1 for 3 with an RBI. August 6th at Milwaukee, 1 for 4 with a homer and an RBI. August 7th at Milwaukee, 2 for 5, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs and 3 runs scored. And yesterday, August 8th at Milwaukee, 1 for 1 with a homer, 2 RBIs and a pinch hit appearance. So Brandon Belt's on a home run tear. And right now, he's still available in 73% of fantasy leagues. And he's a hitter if you need some first base, outfield, or utility help. I definitely would go out there and get. I know he's not going to hit 5 home runs in 4 games, but right now, he's doing a big service to the San Francisco Giants. And right now, while he's on a hot streak, he's a player I definitely will look to go out there and get on the waiver wire this week. The next hit is Abraham Toro of the Seattle Mariners. So Toro, he's been a great pickup over the first few weeks here for the Seattle Mariners. On the season, 9 home runs, 27 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, 27 runs scored at 261 average, and a 337 on base. But the last couple weeks since the trade from Houston to Seattle, 4 home runs, 8 RBIs, 11 runs scored, a stolen base, a 383 batting average, and a 463 on base. At Toro, he's paid huge dividends already for this Mariner team. With a consecutive home run streak of, I believe, 4 or 5 games. He's won a couple games with walk-off hits or game-winning homers. And right now, he's going to play every day for this team. And he's the table setter as well, batting first in the lineup for this Mariner team. So the last few games here for Toro: August 2nd at Tampa, 0 for 3 with a run. August 3rd at Tampa, 2 for 4 with a homer and RBI, 2 runs scored. August 4th at Tampa, 1 for 3. August 5th at the Yankees, 2 for 4. August 6th at the Yankees, 2 for 5 with an RBI. August 7th at the Yankees, 1 for 3, an RBI and a run. And August 8th at the Yankees, 0 for 4 with a run. So Toro, he's gone out there, he's scoring runs. I know he's not really driving the ball much over the fence anymore, but he still has 3 multiple hit games in his last 6 ball games, which is very good. And he's a player still available in 60% of fantasy leagues, and he qualifies at 2nd and 3rd. So if you need some infield help and a guy who's going to help you in batting average and runs scored, he's definitely a good pickup, in my opinion, this week. The next hit is Rafael Ortega of the Chicago Cubs. So Ortega, he was a recommended ad last week on Fantasy Baseball Wires. And once again, he is this week. On the season: 6 home runs, 16 RBIs, 18 runs scored, 6 stolen bases, a 319 average, and a 374 on base. And over the last couple weeks for Ortega, since the Cubs gutted their roster, and he's been playing every day: 4 home runs, 9 RBIs, 11 runs scored, 3 stolen bases, a 391 average, and a 451 on base. So right here, Ortega, he's been one of the hottest free agent pickups off the waiver wire in the last 2 weeks here. He's still available, though, in 56% of fantasy leagues. And this could be your last chance for fantasy owners to really have a chance and go out there and pick him up. Because after this week, his number could jump to 60% owned. So the last few games here for Ortega: August 3rd at the Rockies, 1 for 4 with a run. August 4th at the Rockies, 1 for 5 with a run. August 5th at the Rockies, 2 for 4 with a run and RBI and a stolen base. August 6th versus the White Sox, 1 for 2. August 7th versus the White Sox, 0 for 3. August 8th versus the White Sox, 2 for 4 with a stolen base. So right here, if you need some speed, you need some stolen bases, runs scored, and a little bit of power Ortega is giving owners. I think it's a slam dunk ad this week. He's going to play every day. There's no one over there in Chicago, and he's another guy who's a table setter for this team batting first. So right now, I think with his batting average and his speed and run ability, he's definitely a good pickup this week. The next hit is Cesar Hernandez of the Chicago White Sox. So Hernandez, he's had a pretty decent season with Cleveland, and then he got traded a couple days before the trade deadline to the White Sox. And on the season for Hernandez, 20 home runs, 50 RBIs, 65 runs scored, a 237 average, and a 316 on base. So right here, those 20 home runs is very impressive, in my opinion, for the veteran Hernandez, who throughout his career, he's not really known as a power hitter. In the last couple weeks for him, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, 6 runs scored, a 333 average, and a 426 on base. So right now, he's on fire here. He's drawing walks. He's showing power, and he's still available in 63% of fantasy leagues here, is Hernandez. So right now, I know a lot of fantasy owners have had trouble at the second base position throughout the season. And this guy, I would go out there and get him, no questions asked, especially with the power he's showing. So the last few games here for Hernandez, August 1st versus Cleveland, 1-for-3. August 3rd versus the Royals, 0-for-2. August 4th versus the Royals, 0-for-3. August 5th versus the Royals, 2-for-4 with a run. August 6th at the Cubs, 1-for-3, a homer, 2 RBIs. August 7th at the Cubs, 2-for-4 with a homer, an RBI, and 2 runs scored. And then August 8th at Chicago Cubs again, 0-for-4. So right here, he's starting to show the power once again with 2 home runs in his last 3 games here, is Cesar Hernandez. And this guy, we know what he's capable of. We know he's a good veteran. We know he's a good clubhouse guy, and right now he's been a good option for fantasy baseball this season. I know the batting average hasn't been too ideal with 237, but he's helping in other categories like on-base percentage, RBIs, home runs, and runs scored. So right now, if you need a cheap second base option, he's definitely a hitter I would go out there and get this week on my roster. The next hit is CJ Cron of the Colorado Rockies. So CJ Cron, we've seen what he could do throughout his career as Cron with big power numbers and RBI totals. And this season, Colorado, it's been a pretty good one as well for him. 18 home runs, 59 RBIs, 48 runs scored, a stolen base, a 257 average, which is really good for his standards, and a 366 on base. A CJ Cron this offseason, he got a cheap deal with the Rockies. I believe it was even a minor league deal. And right now, he's playing and putting up major league numbers for sure. And the last couple weeks for Cron, 4 home runs, 17 RBIs, 10 runs scored, a 324 batting average, and a 405 on base percentage. So he's gone out there and he's ripping it up, as Cron, over the last couple weeks, and especially the last 3 out of 4 games, he's been on a tear. So the last few games for Cron, August 1st at San Diego, 0-for-4. August 3rd versus the Cubs, 3-for-4 with a run and 3 RBIs. August 4th versus the Cubs, 1-for-4. August 6th versus the Marlins, 2-for-3, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, and 4 runs scored. August 7th versus the Marlins, 2-for-3, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored. And yesterday versus the Marlins, a monster game with a grand slam. 2-for-4, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, and 2 runs scored. So right here, CJ Cron, in his last 3 games, he's got 4 home runs and 13 RBIs. And that's a player all fantasy owners right now should go out there on the waiver wire and get, especially with the hot streak and the tear he's been on. Because this guy, he's capable of hitting 10 home runs in a month, and especially playing at Coors Field as well. He's a player you should definitely add this week, and he's available in 62% of fantasy leagues. The next hit is Miles Straw at the Cleveland Indians. So Straw, he was a recommended pickup last week, and I'm going to mention him again. He's still available in 53% of fantasy leagues here, is Straw. In the season, 3 home runs, 37 RBIs, 49 runs scored, 19 stolen bases, a 265 average, and a 337 on base in the last couple weeks since he got traded to Cleveland from Houston. 1 home run, 6 RBIs, 8 runs scored, 4 stolen bases, a 280 average, and a 294 on base. So the only down thing for him with me is that batting average on base ratio, where Straw's not really drawing walks. He's swinging early in counts, but he's still producing for fantasy owners in the Indians. And the last few games for him, August 2nd at Toronto, 2-for-5 with 2 runs and a stolen base. August 3rd at Toronto, 0-for-4. August 4th at Toronto, 1-for-4. August 5th at Toronto, 0-for-1. August 6th versus Detroit, 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a stolen base. August 7th versus Detroit, 1 for 5. And August 8th versus Detroit, 2 for 5 with a run. So he's another guy who's a table setter here for the Indians. He's going to steal bases. He's going to score runs. And he qualifies at shortstop and outfield. So if you need some of these things for your fantasy roster, the runs and the stolen bases, he's definitely a hitter I would go out there and get. He's getting an everyday opportunity. He's going nowhere. And this is a reason why Cleveland went out there and traded for him at the trade deadline. And he's available in 53% of fantasy leagues. The next hit is Sam Hilliard of the Colorado Rockies. So Hilliard, he's been an under-the-radar pickup this week. On the season, 8 home runs, 16 RBIs, a stolen base, 17 runs scored, 226 average, and a 294 on base. But he's already got 8 home runs in only 93 at-bats on the season, is Hilliard. So they've called him up, and they're giving him an everyday opportunity, and he's definitely taking advantage of it over the last couple weeks for Hilliard. A 341 average with 5 home runs, 11 RBIs, 9 runs scored, a stolen base, a 400 on base as well here. So right now, he's available still in a whopping 93% of fantasy leagues. And if you just want some power numbers and outfield help, I think he's a good pickup this week. The last few games for Hilliard. First at San Diego, 2 for 4 with a homer and an RBI. August 3rd versus the Cubs, 2 for 3, a homer, 4 RBIs, 2 runs scored. August 4th versus the Cubs, 0 for 3. August 5th versus the Cubs, 1 for 4 with a homer and an RBI. August 6th versus Miami, 3 for 5 with an RBI and a run. And August 8th versus Miami yesterday, 2 for 4 with a homer and an RBI. So in the last week here, Hilliard's definitely on a home run tear. He's got a few multiple hit games. And right now, if you're in deeper leagues, he's definitely a recommended pickup, in my opinion. But even in basic leagues as well, he's a pickup because this guy's producing. He's playing every day. And he's taking notice right now to some fantasy owners, especially me. I look to Elias Diaz, another Colorado Rocky player. So Diaz on the season, 13 home runs, 29 RBIs, 31 runs scored on the year, 229 average, which obviously is nothing, and a 300 on base. But the last couple weeks here for Diaz, he's been on fire. 4 home runs, 9 RBIs, 10 runs scored, a 324 average, and a 395 on base. So right here, the only thing with him is we want to see if he's going to play every day, and that start to come to fruition here for Diaz. So the last few games for him, August 1st at San Diego, 0 for 1. August 3rd versus the Cubs, 3 for 4 with a homer, 4 RBIs, and 3 runs scored. August 4th versus the Cubs, 1 for 4. August 6th versus Miami, 2 for 5, a homer, an RBI, 2 runs scored. August 7th versus Miami, 1 for 2 with an RBI. And yesterday versus Miami, he didn't play. So right now, he's only playing 3-4 times a week, which makes him a little difficult of an ad. But you can't deny the power with 13 home runs and only 214 at-bats, especially at the catcher position. So right now, Diaz, he's available still in 86% of fantasy leagues. And if he could just carve out a role and play every day for this Rocky team, he's definitely a big addition off the waiver wire, in my opinion, because he's definitely going out there playing well. And we just need to see him play every day right now for this Rocky team. The next hit is Jack Mayfield of the Los Angeles Angels. So Mayfield here, he's a guy that qualifies at many positions in fantasy baseball, second, third, and shortstop. And he's definitely been producing so far for the Angels on the season in a short stint so far. 7 home runs, 17 RBIs, 13 runs scored, a stolen base, a 221 average, and a 254 on base. So right now, another guy with a low average but good power numbers, especially in only 113 at-bats to have 7 homers. And the last couple weeks for Mayfield, 4 homers, 8 RBIs, a stolen base, 6 runs scored, 255 average, and a 286 on base. So right here, with Anthony Rendon out for the season, and the Angels giving a lot of young players opportunities, Mayfield's a player that definitely should get an opportunity the rest of the season for the Angels and get some fantasy owners going out there and getting him. He's available in 96% of fantasy leagues. But with his position qualifications and his power, he's definitely a player that should be added in more leagues. The last few games here for Mayfield, August 1st versus Oakland, 1 for 3 with an RBI. August 2nd at Texas, 0 for 3. August 3rd at Texas, 1 for 4 with a homer, 2 RBIs. August 4th at Texas, 3 for 3 with a homer. August 5th at Texas, 1 for 4 with a run. August 6th at the Dodgers, 2 for 3 with a homer, 2 RBIs, a stolen base. August 7th at the Dodgers, 1 for 4. And August 8th at the Dodgers, 0 for 4. So Mayfield, he's played good baseball right now. A few multiple hit games. He's shown power with 3 home runs in the last week here for the Angels. And like I mentioned, he's not going to go anywhere right now. He's going to start every day. And Anthony Rendon's done for the season as well. So this guy definitely can produce and put up numbers for fantasy owners and the Angels. And right now, he's more maybe of a deeper league ad, but he's available in 96% of fantasy leagues. So if you need middle infield help or third base help, he's definitely an ad this week. And the final hitter I looked at on waivers is Travis d'Arnaud of the Atlanta Braves. So Travis d'Arnaud, he's returning from injury any day now, and the Braves definitely could use his bat behind the plate. He went down way early in the season with a thumb injury, and we know what d'Arnaud could do with the power and RBI. So on the season before, he went down 2 home runs, 11 RBIs, 5 runs scored in 82 at-bats, only a 220 average and a 253 on base. But right now, he's available, d'Arnaud, in 78% of fantasy leagues. And last season, he had a monster year, 9 home runs, 34 RBIs, 19 runs scored, a 321 average, and a 386 on base. So right now, if you need catcher help before he comes back in Tuesday's ball game is d'Arnaud. He's definitely worth an ad. We know what he's capable of. The Braves like him a lot. They gave him a good contract in the offseason. And right now, they definitely could use his bat in the lineup. And if you need catcher help before d'Arnaud gets hot or gets going, this is a time to pick him up. So that's a few hitters I'd look to add here in Week 18 of the fantasy baseball season.